So there are only 4 fucking things that I love in this world more than anything, right? That is my dog. That is my Zyrtec, because I get pretty bad fucking hay fever. That is my future wife, my lovely Latina fiance. And fourth, and most importantly, I love making a fuck ton of money. And on this video, we are going to be talking about just one of those 4 things. Okay, so I started working with a brand new business, a brand new partner, a brand new client, whatever the fuck you want to say. I started working with a brand new person about a month and 14 days ago from today. Okay, and in the month of April, so our first ever month, we generated $103,000 cash collected, right? And in contract value, we generated about $130,000. Now, already for the month today, all right, for this partner, we have generated about $50,000. And let me actually fucking show you. What am I waffling about? Let me just fucking show you exactly what I mean. If we look at the lovely fucking dashboard and we go to this month, if we go right here, month to date, click apply, we have generated $47,000 in high ticket sales, about 48. We've generated about $2,900 mid ticket, and we've generated about $530 low ticket sales for this specific partner. Now, it is definitely noted to say that this partner only has about 15,000 followers on Instagram and a couple thousand subscribers on YouTube. Yeah, right? We didn't just generate $103,000 cash collected last month. We are already on track to beat that fucking quadruple this month. If we just look at the stats, right? Let's just fucking look at the stats. You see the stats, right? Calls taken 29, deals closed 17. I'm no math fucking matician, but you do the fucking math, right? We are closing fucking deals. If we look at here, we had our best day yesterday, which was 12.5K. Now this is an offer history, okay? And then pretty consistently, we're doing about 2, 3, 5, 7. And again, this is all USD, right? We only charge about $3,000. And we actually sell to people in Singapore, which don't have a lot of money. Now, if we look at here as well, deals closed, you can see, right? $4,000 cash collected on that call. We've got additional cash collected, $1,500. $1,100 right there, $3,000, $24,000 is updated cash collected. We've got additional plus new, 16,000 or 1,600, sorry, 1,100, right? This is just from yesterday and then today, right? So if we look at the stats, now if we literally go from, I don't know, the 11th of May, no, sorry, the 11th to the 14th, we have taken 8 calls and we have closed 7. Okay, right? 8 for 7, which means that we are literally 90% close rate in the last couple fucking days. Okay, cool. So on this video, I'm going to be sharing with you exactly how we did it and exactly how we are going to absolutely smash that this month. Now, another thing about this partner, which I'm going to be making a YouTube video on, is we are doing an event, a free event, so a webinar, and we already have 2,000 people for that webinar that have registered that are going to be on that webinar. His best webinar prior to working with us was 150 people. Okay, so on this video, I'm going to be sharing with you what we did, how we did it, how he makes so much money, but more importantly, how he closes a fuck ton of his deals and how the sales team is absolutely dialed. Okay? Now, this is not the biggest partner. I've got people that are making $25 million a year. I've got guys with, 15 million followers, right? But again, I just like to show you the most recent results and, the most realistic. Okay? So let's fucking take a look. So, step 1, okay, the difference is literally an ultra marathon versus a half marathon, right? Most of you motherfuckers, when you're selling an offer, you're making people literally do an ultra marathon to buy your shit, right? The easiest thing that I can tell you today, if you want to make a lot more money, right, is to make it easy for people to actually purchase the thing that you are selling, right? I cannot say it more simplistic than that, okay? If I show you 2 $5 bills, if I put one $5 bill to your foot and I put one $5 bill 5 kilometers away, or 10 fucking yards away, wherever the fuck you're from, right? And I ask you, what $5 bill would you rather the most? You're going to say the one at your ankle, which means that just because there's a $5 and a $5, that does not mean that they are worth the same. That does not mean that they are the same value. No, my friend, because one takes a lot more work to do, right? So this is something that I do with every single person that I work with, and it's something that we did with my homie here. Okay, this was what he was doing prior to us working together. He was doing content, website, applications. So they had to go from their content, they clicked on the link, they watched a massive video, okay, on the website. They then clicked the application form, and then they got told to wait. Now, this is the biggest bullshit that I see on a lot of different offers, right? People have a type form, they make them fill out the type form, which normally takes like 10 fucking minutes to do, right? And then at the end of the type form, you just say, okay, our team will get back to you. Are you stupid? Okay, so then they get called / get messaged, and then they actually book them in for a call. Right, so then we literally fucking halved it, right? We literally, the first day working together, we halved it, okay? We went content to application form to book a call, okay? And then in that period of them waiting for their call to happen, we have a dialer that calls them to qualifies them even more, right? And if they don't have the money that we need them to have, then we sell them the mid-ticket or the low-ticket offer, okay? So we literally half the process, right? If you want to make more money, do less, not more, okay? Step 2, right? People often think, so step 2 is back-end functions, right? Step 1 is obviously the sales process, right? And something that we do is we make sure that the sales process is as slim and short as it possibly can be, okay? So now that the sales process is shorter, right? Because I want you to think about how many times have you wanted to buy something, right? But then you wait a day or you wait a couple hours and you don't want to buy it anymore, right? That's exactly what happens when you say, fill out my application form and then wait, right? When you make them wait, you give them an opportunity to overthink and then they don't buy. Or you give them an opportunity to buy from someone else. Or you give them an opportunity to do what has literally got them in their position to begin with, okay? Step 2, backend functions, okay? People often think that you build automations and set up SOPs and create systems just to make more money. While that is true, and that is definitely a part of it, that's not the entire picture here, right? Across all of my offers, I've never had a sales rep leave. Yes, across all of the offers that I manage and across all the partners that I work with, and keep in mind, my portfolio of businesses do about $50 million a year. Not a single sales rep has left. Now, why is that? Right? That is because I make sure that they have absolutely everything they need to be successful. I make sure that the tracking is neat, right? As you can, clearly see right here. Okay? I make sure that the automations are dialed, right? And everything is fucking automated. Every, let's say, book call that happens, it comes here. Every, application form that's submitted, it goes here, okay? Every single thing that happens within the business, I've automated, I've systemated, and I've got SOPs for, okay? I make my job for the sales reps as easy as it can be, okay? So that is why the backend functions is so important. Most people have shitty automations, confusing tracking sheets, no SOPs, meaning you have to explain everything over and over and over again. And everything is just lack of quality. With me, we've got a clean Slack channel, so it's super tidy. This is how it looks for all of my partners. Our tracking sheets auto-populate in real time, while most people have to manually calculate how much percent that they're going to give out and how much they've made, right? Just creates a lot of friction. All right, I see everything that happens, right? So book calls, fills out an application, has a successful payment, right? Everything is automated, okay? As you can see right here. Okay, so you've got book calls. Even if we go here, end of day closing, right? You can see that this is automated, right? So actually get this to be automated. They had 6 calls, closed 4, collected 12,000 yesterday, and then revenue closed was 13, right? By the way, that's just another thing that I want you to keep in mind, is that our revenue was 13,000, but we closed 12,000, right? Which means that we're literally collecting almost, well, at least yesterday, 100% of the money that we're actually pitching. Okay, show up rate 6 for 6. This is another thing I want you to keep in mind. Let's actually take a look at it. I might at myself a little bit. It could be dog shit. Let's see. Right, so we got 6 for 6 calls that actually showed up. We've got 2 for 3. Close rate was 2 for 2. None here, right? So there was no one here. 3 for 4. So 3 out of 4 people showed up. Close rate 2 for 3. 2 for 2 showed up. 1 out of 2 close rate. 2 for 2 showed up. 1 out of 2 close rate. 5 for 5 showed up. 3 out of 5 close rate. 1 for 1 showed up. 0 closed. 1 for 1 showed. 1 for 1 closed. 0 calls that day because obviously lack of leads. 1 for 1, 0. 3 for 3 showed. 3 for 3 closed. Okay. So that's just to show you. Now, this is just like one of my partners that I work with. I'm literally just showing you. I've literally got nothing to fucking hide or to bullshit about. Like, those are just the real stats, and the stats don't lie. Okay, so this is a massive thing that we changed and that we automated, and then we got everything up and going. Okay, everything in here is connected to Zapier, right? Which means that everything auto-populates and is automated, as well as we use other platforms to be able to make sure that everything is properly systemized, okay? Now, this is where people go absolutely fucking stupid, right? In just the last 30 days, the closers conversion rate jumped from around 30% of a close rate to 61%, right? And the reason is simple. It is the training, okay? Most people do training once a week or every 2 to 3 days, right? A lot of people, they will do, super high effort at the start, but then low effort, about a week in, right? A lot of the times your sales team might be giving you feedback, but you're not listening to it. Or just straight up lack of experience when giving advice to your salespeople. But for us, we run daily one-on-one trainings. So with every single offer that we're on, with every single person, we do daily one-on-one trainings. Daily. Okay? We do a daily training with our closers, and a daily training with our setters, and a daily training with our dialers, and a daily training with the entire sales team with every offer. Right? So if you worked with me, you wouldn't just be getting this world-class systems, amazing world-class hires, but you're also getting, more importantly, daily training with your salespeople. That's the key to success. That is why our stats don't fucking lie. Right? 1 for 1, 1 for 1, 3 for 3, 2 for 3, right? 2 for 2, 1 for 2. It doesn't fucking lie. Right? By the way, this is not like there is no exception to that. Right? If my reps aren't getting daily trainings, then my internal team gets fucking punished. Right? I pay a team, so I've got a sales manager, I've got a CSO, I've got my own internal team that I bring onto these offers, right? And if we aren't doing daily trainings, then it's our problem. High effort, okay? Day to day, high effort, 30 days, every single day. That's the standard, that's mandatory. It's not just about giving feedback, it's also about getting feedback, right, from the front lines, and understanding exactly what's happening on sales calls in real time allows us to adjust fast and refine the messaging. Okay. So as you can see right here, this is one of my sales managers, right? Daily calls. So this was the 2nd of May, a call with the setters. So the DM setter and then the other setter. We've got a call with the closer, and then a call with the phone setter again. Okay, and then a call with the closer. Okay, so that's just a couple of the call recordings from that day. Okay. So daily trainings every day, good trainings, by the way. I'm not talking, bullshit trainings where you're just talking about the same thing. No, right? Now, let me actually show you. I want you to look at the comparison between an online business and a corporate business. You treat your business like an online business, and that's exactly why you're getting online business results, right? There's a lack of structure, a lack of direction, and a mindset that treats people as they are replaceable simply because they have a good opportunity and anyone would be lucky to have it. How many times have you said that? Maybe you're hiring, you said this is a good opportunity, people would be lucky, right? Maybe you're lucky, right? But here's the truth. You're not hiring properly, right? You're not putting in real effort to build culture. And more importantly, there's no real support or training. Okay, so if you want real results, you need to start running your business like a company, not a hustle. Most online businesses are just people-pleasing machines, right? I can't count on how many fucking times I've stepped into a business where the sales reps are running the show, right? That's exactly why the sales reps end up leaving, because people aren't going to want to tell you this, and they might not even know this, but sales reps need leadership. They need development. They need support. This is why no one leaves us, because we give them everything and we train them constantly to become better. It doesn't just become a thing about us and that they're replaceable. It becomes about, what can they do for us and what can we actually do for them? So I treat everything inside my business like a corporate business, right? Because that structure works. I did about $125 million in sales in the corporate world before actually coming in online, building my first business in 2023, which did $5.5 million, and then working with a bunch of other companies. Before that, I was in corporate. Okay, so that's why I've taken on this sort of structure rather than coming into it like everyone else, like it's a side hustle. People say they hate corporate, but let's be real. They stay in these jobs for 6 months. So I want you to think about how many times have you heard people say that they hate corporate? A ton. How many times have you heard people say that they hate the online business world? None, right? But then you look in corporate and people are staying at those jobs for 6 months, a year, 2 years, even though they quote unquote hate the job. But then you come online and everything is a good opportunity, but you see people constantly churning and leaving. Why is that? Right? Because they don't hate corporate, they hate the lack of freedom. Okay, so what I do is I give them a routine. I give them a path to follow, right? I give them a structure and guidelines, and I give them support while still giving them the freedom of working, quote unquote, online. So what I've done is I've just taken the best parts from both, okay, online business and corporate. And that is exactly why our reps perform better than most, right? That's why we can come onto these businesses and generate 550K in 65 days, 100K in XYZ, blah, 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 right? This is why we are so quick and so fast because, right, we take the best of both worlds, okay? The next thing that we did was we actually did a price increase. I'm not just going to say raise your prices, right? There's a step you need to take first, right? Does the price you charge actually reflect the value of which you sell? For 99.9% of you, it doesn't. Okay, your price is way too low compared to the outcome you deliver, right? And if you're saying, I don't feel comfortable charging higher prices, then think about it this way, right? You've paid $50 for a shirt, right? That costs $5 to make, less than that, right? I used to work at Hungry Jack's, Burger King, fast food, and we sell nuggets, right? You might buy a 6-thing of nuggets for, I don't know, let's say $5, right? Do you know how much a bag of nuggets costs? A bag of nuggets might have 20 or 50 nuggets in it. Do you know how much a bag costs? Like 3 cents. 3 cents. I'm not joking. Like 3 cents for a whole bag of 60 plus nuggets, and you're paying $5 for like 6. Right? You've dropped $9 on a burger, which has a total worth of 50 cents. Right? But you can't charge more for something that actually changes someone's life. You're telling me that? No. This is the perfect example of how price doesn't always equal cost because it should reflect value, right? Trying to be competitive by undercharging doesn't make your offer more attractive. It makes it look cheap. Okay, the people that try and undercut their prices are always the first people to go broke. Right, now, again, I want to use a different example. Right, let's say I get this shirt, which is $5, and I tell you, so there's a black shirt and a black shirt, they look the same, $5, $5,000, and I ask you which one is more valuable, you're going to say the $5,000 shirt, correct? What if I told you that that $5,000 shirt is actually the $5 shirt and the other one is, vice versa, right? You only said that the other one had more value because of the price. Now, this is what I'm trying to say, is that you try and lower your price to increase the value. But what you're doing is when you lower your price, you're decreasing the value. You need to increase your price to increase the fucking value, right? That's how it's fucking done. So, right, what I want you to do, okay, I want you to reverse engineer it, because a lot of people don't even fucking know how much money or how many times they need to sell something to make money. I want you to do this calculations. Pick your figure that you want to make in a month. For example, let's say it's $250,000. Now, I want you to divide it by how much you get per average on a call. So not what is your PIF. So let's say I charge 10K, right? I'm not going to get 10K every time. So what is the average amount of money that you get on a call? Let's say it's 2.5K. I need to sell 2.5K 100 times to make $250,000. Is that realistic in a month? It is, but it's going to be pretty difficult. Okay, so what is one way that I can actually just decrease this? If I doubled my price here, right? So if I doubled what I was charging, or I increased whatever, right? And I took the average that I was actually collecting on the calls from 2.5 to 2 for about $5,000, right? This would get cut in half, I think. I'm not good at math, but I think that would get cut in half, and I would only need 50 in a month. That seems a lot more realistic, okay? Most of you are charging a quarter of what you should. If you don't believe in what you're selling, that's why you're lowering the price, right? And if that's the case, you shouldn't be selling at all, right? Because if you can't confidently charge what it's worth, the problem isn't the price, it's the offer, right? Or your belief in that offer. Fix that first. Don't overthink it, just do the math. Grab your calculator, punch in your income goal, divide it by your average sale. What is that number, right? That's exactly how many people you need to sell. That is now your goal, okay? And then a lot of these guys just have mindset issues. So we charge what we're worth, right? But we don't know how to spell, obviously. We know that people aren't like us, right? So for example, a lot of these guys have mindset issues because maybe you grew up poor, and maybe you didn't have a lot of money in the past. So you think if you don't have 10K in your bank account to spend, then someone else won't. That's the difference, right? Would rather sell a $6,000 program to 17 people, right, than a $399 program to 250 people, right? Same revenue, less volume, higher commitment, better results, better clients, right? And we understand that value is perceived through price. So if we want people to take our service seriously and value it above others, then we need to charge it in a way that actually reflects the value, okay? Price versus perceived value key insights. Psychological anchoring, right? Consumers naturally associate higher prices with the quality, right? As I mentioned to you earlier, if you've got a $299 course and a 2K course, which one do you think people are going to think is more valuable, okay? Perception of results. Higher prices tend to attract more serious buyers. Okay, so again, you might be working with people that aren't quite your ideal person strictly because you're not charging enough. So charge enough and you're going to start working with those people. All right, and 3, the risk of underpricing. Setting your price too low can have a negative impact because then you start to appear less credible, all right, and you start to seem like a beginner, okay? It's pretty simple. You need to charge more to make more. You need to charge more to come across as more valuable, right? If you want to sell less, charge more, right? If you want to seem like high quality, charge more. If you want to get in front of higher buyers and less of the time wasters, charge more. It's pretty simple. So next, show up rate. We did push ourselves, like our actual show up rate, from about 75% to about 76%, right? When 75% was already average. So again, we only came on about a month and some time ago, so about a month and 14 days ago, and the show up rate was already good, right? But we increased it even more, okay? And I'll show you how we did that. But again, as I showed you here, so I mean we can see here. So show up rate 76% when it was the month before 75%. Okay, like it's pretty simple. So how did we increase it? That was already good. How did we increase it even more? Right, typically it would go down, right? And something I want you to keep in mind as well is we actually increased price. I actually brushed over this completely. We increased the price, but we actually sold more. So our close rate was actually higher. Our close rate that month was about 61%. Is higher today. When the month before was 57%. We doubled the price. So we came on the offer, we doubled the price, but we had a 2x increase of, we 2x increased the price, but we actually increased the close rate, which is like fucking ridiculous. And the show up rate increased by 1%, and cash per call, right? So on average, we worked out the number and we divided it, and we worked out that the average call that they were taking in March before we came on, they were making about $640. Last month it was 1.2, and this month it's way more. Okay, so just something to keep in mind. So a lot of these guys have lazy sales reps, no follow-ups / shit follow-ups, letting people book days in the future, and not sending proper automations. Okay. Our sales reps know their role. That actually goes beyond the average person in their position. Because again, I don't treat our sales reps like remote sales reps. I treat them like salespeople. Okay. So I make sure that they're doing what they are meant to. We send a high volume of automated reminders before every call. So this is just Calendly, right? We send it 24 hours before, 12 hours before, 6, 3, 15 minutes, and 5 minutes before. And we don't just send emails, but we also do this in SMS, and we also do this through everything else that we possibly can. Okay? We have everyone following up. So, first I'll say this. We don't let people book in 48 hours, later than 48 hours, right? We do not let people book in later than 48 hours, because the biggest reason why people aren't showing up to your calls isn't because they hate you. It's not because they don't want to buy. It is because shit happens. They have a life, right? Or they forget, right? So we make sure that they don't forget and shit doesn't happen. So how don't they forget? Well, they've got all these automated from emails and SMS. Our closer messages the person that books a call. Our setter, so the DM setter is messaging them, as well as our dialer is calling them, right? Pair that with 48 hours in the future. I mean, fucking hell, that the only people that our leads are talking to is us, basically. Okay, now you might look at this and think, wow, that's a bit too much. I look at this and think, wow, how can I do more? Right? I've never ever heard of someone being spoken to too much. Let's just leave it at that. This should be the most important part of the business when it comes to priorities. No shows equal no sales. If someone doesn't show up to the call, you have zero chance of closing them, right? Even if your closer is the best in the world, they can't sell to an empty Zoom room. Okay, so you need to ensure that the show up rate is expedited, and this is what we did, right? We made it so they couldn't book later, right? Again, they were just booking calls so far in the future. We did all these automations with Calendly and Zapier and SMS, right? And as well, everyone follows up with the via closer, setter, and dialer. Okay. Next is content, right? So now we need leads, because with no leads, there is no sales, right? So this is something that we do with every partner that we work with, right? When we work with partners, we take care of the entire sales and the operations of that business, okay? Oh, look, another application just got submitted. Cool. All right. So a lot of people have low quality, no CTAs, only going for views and no value. We made value-driven content, right? We did it so the goal isn't to get views, it is to actually help people achieve something. We went for value, right? And you need a CTA strategy, because most of your value content means nothing if people don't actually know what you're selling, right? So we do a lot of CTAs. So let me actually show you. If you take a look here, so this is the Miro board that I had for his offer just before we started working together. Instagram content, right? So you can see here, he was posting a lot of flexing content, right? If you would have looked at his content, it was getting like a lot of views, but it was getting like 200 likes or maybe 1,000 likes, but like no comments, right? So we changed it completely, and I made it so he shows exactly what he's doing. But he doesn't just show what he's doing, right? He actually teaches what he does. He shows results. He shows clients. He does absolutely everything he needs in terms of the content, right? So we really preference to him that you need to create educational content, right? I gave him examples of people that do that really well, right? You need to post every single day. So I also gave him a specific content thing, right? And I told him it is extremely, extremely important for him to actually post value content, right? Instead of posting car or music videos every single time, right? Because that is the biggest problem that people have. They post a bunch of music, they post a bunch of lifestyle, they post a bunch of bullshit, right? Which ultimately means that there is no value, right? And pair that with the value with the CTAs. So every single, I'll give you an example. I'll literally fucking show you. Right, if we go here, we can do this one, I guess. All right, so yeah, let's do this one. Right, comment pen and I'll send you a free dropshipping masterclass. Okay, look at all this. Right, again, you know how I mentioned that we had over 3,000 people that are showing up to the webinar? Yeah, it's because of that. Right. If you even go here, more CTAs, right? Shopify, right? More CTAs right here, right? But if we look all the way down here, right? Before we were working together, he did delete a couple, but this is basically all he was posting, right? Just no good comments, because there's no actual value. This was one, so when I came on, I told him to do this, right? And this is where, you know, shit actually changed, right? Another one there, right? Another one there, 65 comments. Okay, as you can see, it doesn't get a shit ton of views and a shit ton of, you know, just anything in general. But we do it so well to where we make something from nothing, right? You can see here, 32 comments. That's 32 people, right? And we've basically, what we did was we tightened up the sales and we tightened up absolutely everything that we could. And then we just absolutely started spamming CTAs. And then this is the byproduct of it, right? And again, you've got one right here, right? Comment freedom, right? We've set up an automation and then we send them the thing, right? And then bang. Okay, so yeah, that's everything. So that is exactly how we made him over $100,000 last month, and how we're going to make him over $150,000, $200,000 this month. Right, so already just passively, as I showed you, we've generated, what was it, like 50K in the last month? Yeah, a bit more than 50K USD, 14 days in. And this is without the webinar that we're going to have 2,000 plus people on. This isn't including the rest of the days. And again, this is just one of the partners, right? I work with so many different people to where, like, this is just one of the guys that we work with. right? It's not like where we only work with 1 or 2 people and then those are the only results that we get. We just work with a lot of people, right? Or at least specific people that we want to work with, right? And these are the results that we get, right? I hope you were able to learn something from this. I hope this was one of those videos where it wasn't so much bullshit and it was just straight to the point fucking value. Feel free to keep watching it. Feel free to ask your questions down below. I've got an application form down below. Feel free to check it out. Feel free to fill it out, right? And I might reach out to you if I think you are a good fit. In all honesty, I'm getting fucking hammered with people that want to work with me. So I am not working with everyone, right? But if I do happen to pick you, then we will be making a lot of money, right? So feel free to do that. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.